Welcome back, steadfast friends of Whispers of Turkish Stars. The energy around us today crackles like the air before a summer storm, that heavy hush that warns you something unforgettable is about to break. We're standing at the edge of a revelation that won't just stir up the gossip mill, it will reshape what we think love looks like when it has to fight to exist in the hard, bright glare of show business. Before we pull back the curtain on this daring note from the heart, a quick reminder. Make sure you're subscribed, tap like so the algorithm knows you come here for the real story, ring the bell so you don't miss a beat, and if you want to support our independent reporting, the join button is right there. Your help keeps Whispers of Turkish Stars fearless and free. For weeks, a brooding uncertainty shadowed the feeds and headlines surrounding one of the most cherished pairs in Turkey. In editorial rooms and on timelines, the murmurs grew louder, braiding together into a tale of distance and looming farewell that kept fans nervously refreshing, hoping for a hint that everything was still okay. The photo ops slowed down. The joint appearances faded. Questions multiplied. And just when it felt like the consensus was turning toward the worst-case scenario, the script flipped in spectacular fashion thanks to a thunderbolt of candor from Gökberk Yıldırım. He's a man who usually treats his private life as a sanctuary. He steps carefully. He avoids baited questions. He lets the work speak. But this time, he chose something different. He stepped forward, not with hints or hedges, but with a clean, steady declaration that stunned the industry into quiet. With the certainty of someone who has decided to steer his own narrative, he said words that echoed across studios and comment sections alike. There's nothing left he intends to keep behind closed doors. For insiders who know him well, this wasn't some impulse or momentary slip. What we heard was the crest of a long-gathering wave, the truthful release of feelings he's been protecting for far too long. Everyone has watched from afar as his story with the luminous Cemre Arda has been analyzed and picked apart since day one. Lately, though, they made an intentional choice to step back. Fewer shared posts. A graceful dodge at events. Interviews that pressed for the personal only to find him turning the topic toward craft. And fans, worried but faithful, asked the question that lingered in the air like mist, is something cracking where we thought there was steel? As it turns out, what looked like an ending was really a beginning in disguise. That quiet wasn't a countdown to goodbye, it was a deep breath before the leap. The real shock arrived when Gökberk, disregarding the usual rulebook of discretion that stars of his level often live by, gave a vow that hit like a lightning strike in blue skies. He said it was time for him and Cemre to start building their home together. In those few words, he wasn't merely sketching a romantic headline, he was laying down the blueprint for a life solid, deliberate, and resolute. Trusted voices close to them say that Gökberk and Cemre have been mapping this shared future for months, dreaming between set calls, slipping plans into the margins of their days. Their schedules, fierce and busy, haven't managed to drown out a shared wish, to pull their dream out of the abstract and put it into motion sooner rather than later. If you've noticed the actor's calmer presence lately, more centered, more at ease, that's not an accident. It's the composure that comes after you've made up your mind and decided to live with it in daylight. A moment to breathe with you, Whispers of Turkish Stars family. How far should management go in shaping a star's private world? Is professional triumph worth the cost of keeping love under lock and key? Gökberk made his stance crystal clear, but we want to hear yours in the comments. And if you appreciate this kind of careful, heart-level reporting, remember you can support the team directly by hitting join. It makes these exclusives possible. Now to the part that took everyone by surprise, even those who thought they'd seen it all. The most striking section of Gökberk's statement touched his professional circle, especially his agent. He made sure to express gratitude and respect for the person who has guided him through the twists and turns of fame. And then, gently but unmistakably, he drew a bold line in permanent ink. My agent has helped me get where I am, he said, and that's not up for debate. But my private life belongs to me. In case anyone missed the point, he put it plainly, he won't allow outsiders to micromanage the matters of his heart. In an industry that often treats image as everything and people as props in their own story, this stance landed like a challenge. It announced that, from this point forward, the compass for balancing his work and his love won't be calibrated by meetings, markets, or metrics. It will be set by him. Whispers have long suggested that Gökberk felt boxed in by the pressure to treat romance as a PR variable, timed posts, strategic sightings, choreographed answers. The relentless emphasis on optics, bookings, co-branding, and audience calculations had worn him down. Those close to Cemre say she walked a similar path, feeling at times as if she had to second-guess even genuine expressions of affection, just to avoid becoming headline fodder. So his words weren't just protection for himself, they were a shield for her. Friends of Cemre say she's quietly radiant these days, the kind of peace that shows in how she holds herself, how she smiles without looking over her shoulder. There's a private confession she's said to have shared in a trusted circle. For the first time in a while, she feels truly safe and sure. The response from their fans was immediate and overwhelming. Within minutes, timelines overflowed with messages that read like a chorus: "This is how you fight for real love. This is what it looks like when two people refuse to be managed like a press release." The pivot could mark a new era in Gökberk's career. For years, he's curated an image that's impeccable, tightly organized, professional to the core. But now, he seems to be choosing something braver, the version of himself that's unedited, decisive, and loyal to what matters most. When he said they won't tuck it away anymore, he wasn't revealing just a relationship. He was unveiling a philosophy, authenticity as a way of living. In that one turn of phrase, he prioritized love, reordered his days, and stepped into the spotlight holding the hand that steadies him. It feels like the era of half-hidden glances and elaborate dodges is over for Gökberk, Yıldırım, and Cemre, Arda. From this point on, they want to be seen on their own terms, not as whisper fodder but as narrators of their shared story. No more third-party scripts, no more shadow choreography. Open steps, clear choices, and the quiet boldness of people who mean what they say. If this was only a long-awaited confession, it would still be memorable. But it's more than that. It's a flag planted in the ground: here we stand, this is us, and we're together no matter how loud the world gets. Behind closed doors, the talk is that the roots of this decision go far deeper than any one afternoon statement. People close to them insist this wasn't an emotional spike, it was the final move in a plan that has been quietly taking shape. Think of it as a strategy born from feeling but refined by time. Friends say that in recent months, Cemre revisited everything. The roles she accepts, the friendships she nurtures, the dreams she saved for later, and the values she refuses to trade. Through that reckoning, Gökberk's steadiness and his singular way of seeing her became an anchor she didn't know she needed. Their bond, tested from day one under scrutiny, learned to breathe under pressure. What started as sweet curiosity from the public gradually became a weight. And when weight becomes too much to carry, you either crack or you change the way you carry it. Choosing openness wasn't about performance, it was about survival. By refusing to stash their love in the dark, they chose to strengthen it in the sun. Gökberk has made it clear: the connection he shares with Cemre doesn't need marketing math or permission slips. They won't be timing their joy to match a campaign, and they won't be shrinking themselves to fit a brand. The decision landed precisely when his calendar is most complicated. New projects on the horizon, high-level talks beyond borders, a lane that's widening faster than ever. Saying all this right now is not a lapse in calculation. It's a declaration of maturity. He's done trying to control every variable just to match an industry's expectations. The message to producers and gatekeepers is simple: his heart is not up for negotiation. And on her side, something bright has taken hold. Friends say Cemre is animated and light, planning without that old reflex of asking whether the timing is career safe. She's allowing herself to imagine homes and holidays, downtime and laughter, without checking the calendar for a campaign launch. Their shared idea of home is poetic, not just bricks and a lease, but the refuge they build inside one another, where the noise can't reach, where they can take off their names and be simply themselves. This moment also invites a broader conversation for all of us watching. Where's the line between guidance and control? Is it possible to safeguard a career while giving love the space it needs to breathe? Gökberk drew his boundary, and he did it with respect, not tearing down the professionals who helped him, but asserting the limits of their influence. That distinction matters. It's not rebellion for the sake of drama, it's sovereignty over the most human part of a life. Of course, courage of this kind often inspires. Within hours, young actors and creatives quietly messaged support, saying they felt seen, that they too want a world where a private relationship doesn't have to pass a branding test to be real. And fans, so many fans, filled the feeds with celebration, cheering not just a couple but a principal. Love deserves room. What comes next? The practicalities are underway, we're told. Conversations about where to settle when schedules settle. A promise to carve out time that cannot be rescheduled. A plan to travel less separately and more together when possible, to choose work that doesn't require them to vanish from each other's lives for months on end. No grand countdowns. No staged reveals. Just steady steps from two people choosing to be consistent with themselves. And yet, nobody should mistake this for naivete. They know the glare will intensify now. With openness comes appetite. From cameras, from headlines, from those who profit when intimacy becomes content. What they're counting on is that a decision born from truth will be strong enough to withstand the hunger. You cannot tempt authenticity with the same tricks that once kept it hidden. So here we are, at the threshold of a chapter that looks less polished and more real. If the past years were rehearsals in discretion, this is the premiere of candor. For fans, it's the permission to root for something not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. For the industry, it's a reminder that careers are built by humans, and humans are not inventory. Before we close, let's circle back to you, our Whispers of Turkish Stars community. What do you make of Gökberk's line in the sand about his agent? Is this the kind of freedom that will unlock deeper, riskier, more rewarding work for both of them? Tell us everything in the comments. Don't leave without subscribing, tapping like, and sharing this with everyone who believes in their story. And if you want to be part of our inner circle, the join button is your key. As the lights dim on today's report, one image lingers, two people walking forward with no choreography but their own. They're not asking for applause, they're asking to live. That request, in a world this loud, might be the bravest act of all. Long live love that answers only to the people who carry it. Long live the quiet decision that changes everything. Long live the home they're determined to build together.